It's Friday. It's 10 o'clock in the morning on a foggy, cold Friday morning, the 7th day of July in the year of our Lord John Cena. I'm drinking coffee. It's time, as we have been doing every Friday since January, take a look at the latest in the never-ending OGL, ORC, OSR. Oh my bloody God, let's just get this over with. OneDnD controversy nonsense. Okay, so first let's get you up to what we know about the lesser contenders. In regards to C7D20 from Crucible 7 Games, they have not updated their page since March, and we still know absolutely nothing about C7D20 other than it's going to be a D25E, not OGL. I don't know. I guess they're coming up with their own thing, guide game. But at this point, it's either too late or they're playing it smart. And they're waiting to see what happens in February. 60-40? 60-40. I don't know enough about Crucible 7. But I'm going to say 60% chance they are playing it smart and they're waiting to see. 40% chance they just sort of drop the ball and we don't know. So they're no longer in the contention. As for Green Ronin and their mysterious game they've been working on secretly, again, nothing. No new news other than we know that it's not a D20 game. We know that it's not a game that uses the age system, and we know that it's not a game that uses the Mutant Mastermind / OGL system, which makes it sound a lot like it's Savage Worlds or a Savage Worlds style type game. Yeah, but other than that, nothing. We know nothing about that one. All right, so which basically leaves the big two, the ORC from Paizo, and of course, 2024 Dungeons and Dragons. So Paizo, what's going on this week? We've got a new adventure path coming out called Delve the Mountain Deep, which sounds like a dwarf-themed underground travel-y type Underdark game. We've got something going on with the Abomination Vault playtest Kickstarter. That was Kickstarter was fulfilled. The creators of the Abomination Vault things reached out to us, and then they said they were going to reach out to us again, and they didn't. We know what's going on this July with the Organized Play monthly update. They will be doing Organized Play here next week at the convention we're supposed to be having. I'll be speaking about that later. But as for the ORC, what is going on with the ORC? The final version. The final version is here. We have already taken a look at it. Other people smarter than me have taken a look at it. So we know what we know, but there are some things I pointed out. And I don't know, from the 2 reviews I've already watched, nobody else has really pointed it out. So we have the sample notice, but we don't have an actual notice. So this is the sample that is being sent to the Library of Congress, which is fine, except the sample mentions an actual product. The sample mentions the Skeleton Crew, the Horrible Nation of Furinely, the Order of Series and Edgelords, and all elements designed as reserved material, and Bardic Order of the Singing Skull. So in the example, there are these mentions of this either actual product or made up product. This needs to be removed because otherwise, until we see a real one, this is what's getting copyrighted. This right here, which means everything would fall under this copyright, which means any product you made using the ORC would be reserved by the Skeleton Crew. So this needs to go. You need to come up with a version of this that we can use on our product that doesn't contain this imaginary, or actually, I think this actually is referring to an actual game stuff, because otherwise it's sort of confusing. Also, in regards to using licensed IP, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Mickey Mouse, and how the ORC refers to as, well, sure you can. No, you can't. You can't use licensed IPs like Lord of the Rings or Fast and Furious or Godzilla unless you also work out a deal with the actual holders of the IP, and that deal is set in carbonite, locked in a safe, and that safe is sunk to the bottom of the ocean and protected by sharks. So at no point in time in the history of the multiverse can anybody say 100 years from now, oh no, wait, you used the IP for a movie idea I had 37 years ago. I'm suing you now. Yeah. So in regards with dealing with Hollywood, I don't care what the ORC says. Get a contract signed with the people that hold the actual license and make that thing signed in stone and irrevocable. Cannot, 120 years from now, some guy go, oh no, that was my idea, I'm suing you. And that person wins. And you're looking at me going, dude, that's never going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, I lived in Studio City for half of my life. It happened all the time. So that is the ORC. The ORC is off to the Library of Congress. They have filled out the forms, stamped the stamps, paid the fee. It will be set in stone 70 years, which means at some point in time in the next month or two, we will have an official ORC license that we can put on product and be protected by the ORC. And as regards to the ORC and the morality clause, yes, there is one, sort of. The general response is, yeah, it's fine. I think we're all just like, this is probably the best we're going to get. Maybe somebody will make something better, but I'm not holding my breath. So for now, if we want to do Pathfinder adjacent type stuff, 5e adjacent type stuff, OSR adjacent type stuff, D20 fantasy stuff that somebody somewhere could maybe go at some point in time that kind of vaguely looks like something Wizards of the Coast made in the 30s. So I'm suing you. This is probably the best we're going to get. It doesn't mean that at some point in time somebody's going to come up with something better, but yeah, ORC is probably the best we're going to get this year anyways. Which brings us finally to, of course, the big dog. These guys. Wizards of the Coast and the never-ending Scott Steiner math confusion of what the is coming out in February of 2024. So as of today, we know nothing. Basically, we're back to square one with the latest announcement from the latest playtest, basically telling us, the last year was pointless. We're changing everything again. So just pretty much ignore everything we did so far. So let's look at the other two first before Dungeon Master's Guide. We know there's going to be a Dungeon Master's Guide. We know it's going to have 30 to 60 new pages of art. We know it's going to have a new section that they've never done before in a 5e Dungeon Master's Guide. So either a random table or Appendix N type of thing. And it's going to have a how to start playing safety tools section as well. Monster manual. There will be a monster manual. We don't know when we're going to see it. It'll contain monsters. What monsters? Well, obviously all the classics, and then a smattering of other monsters from other products, just enough to wet your whistle, but not so much that they can't release later monster products later going on. Finally, with the brand new, but brand new Player's Handbook that you both do need and do not need, and it is and is not a new game, 2024 Player's Handbook will be out. It will be digital, 100% digital first. There will be a physical Player's Handbook that will come out later at some point in 2024. It does not have a name yet. It is just simply Player's Handbook 2024. So as for what it contains going forward, whether in regards to post-Tasha, pre-Tasha, 2014 D&D, 2020 D&D, 2023 D&D, blah, blah, blah. I don't know anymore. They have spent the last year or so shoving all this information down our throats, telling us all this stuff, leading us to the belief of, where we stood, that yes, it is a 6th edition. They pretty much said so. They pretty much said, yes, it's 2 separate things. If you're going to have to remake your characters, you're going to have to buy the books. And we're pretty much not going to support anything that came out before 2024. But then they said, oh, yeah, we rethought it. And now we're going back to the basics. So basically, we're just kind of rewriting the old player's handbook right now and adding 60 pages of art, which means, so that's the exact same thing as when you did 3.5, right? And they're saying, no, you don't have to buy these new books, except you do have to buy these new books. And no, it's not a new game, except yes, it is a new game. And it will be backwards compatible, except it won't be backwards compatible. Yeah? Now, I was having this discussion with somebody the other day, and they were like, I'm mad at, I'm angry at Wizards of the Coast because X. And in my weird roundabout, way that I sort of defend Wizards of the Coast and earns me that title of Wizards of the Coast shill, I again said, look, dude, everything Wizards of the Coast is doing, other companies are doing. They're just doing it the worst. It's not that the ideas aren't good ideas. It's just for some reason, Wizards of the Coast is taking these ideas and presenting them in the most offensive, worst, self-destructive way possible, which they have been doing consistently since 3.5. The fact that 5e has gotten as far as it has to reach to this point is basically thanks to television. If Stranger Things hadn't happened, if Stephen Colbert hadn't happened, if Critical Role hadn't happened the way it happened, if all the other, Let's Quest type shows hadn't happened on YouTube, 5e would not be where it is. But the dumb, awful, backwards, nonsensical way Wizards is handling this, that's stuff they've been doing since 3.5. And you look at any other company that's kind of following the same progress track, Paizo, and they're doing the same things. They're saying the same things. They're facing the same issues that Wizards is facing, Hasbro's is facing with production and publishing and, the interweb and the evolution of hobbies, and even the worst companies out there, David Fox, this Weinheimer guy who does not want your money. They're all doing the exact same thing. Just Wizards is taking these things that are basic common evolution of business 2023 and doing them in the worst possible way. They really, really just are self-destructive. It's like they want to fail, and somehow, despite all logic, they succeed. They fail upwards, to use a term, and they're continuing to fail upwards. Now, predictions right now are not good for 2024 D&D sales-wise, but that could change. I mean, it really depends post-Gen Con, post-San Diego Comic Con, how they go about advertising into Q3. Because September, October, we're going into holiday season. We're going into Q3, Q4. We're going to get the Q2 numbers very soon. And that's when Wizards of the Coast is going to have to really start their rush of advertising. That's when all the other companies are going to have to decide when they want to put their product out on the shelves to compete with 2024 D&D. Are they going to do it the same day? Are they going to do it before? Are they going to do it after? Are they going to do it not at all? Will 2024 D&D succeed? Will it fail? Does anybody even care anymore? Am I just wasting my time talking about this? Probably, but it's my job to talk about it. So anyways, the Kickstarter is up if you want to see it. And the 40-minute interview with this condescending fuck, Jeremy Crawford. God, look at that shit-eating grin. You know, every time they roll him out of whatever vat they're storing him in and, you know, put him up in front of the camera so he can listen to himself talk for 40 minutes, is that same condescending used car salesman, shit-eating grin, just going, yeah, haha, you stupid fucking marks. You're going to buy our product no matter what we do. I really don't like him. By the way, Kyle Brink still working for Wizards of the Coast, even though he said he couldn't leave the industry fast enough. Still working for Wizards of the Coast. David Fox still doesn't want your money, but you know who does want your money? I do. So why don't you take all the time and energy that you have invested in Wizards of the Coast and Paizo and take a small portion of that, head on over to Big Geek Emporium and pick up my merch, because mine are only like $4. I just released the complete collection of every monster I have made over the past year for the OGL for $5. 40 pages of monsters, new information, new ideas, body harvesting, all that kind of thing for $4. Nick Plays wants to know, does the orc have a morality clause? Sort of. Not really. Kind of. It is a very teeny one. Basically, if you make a product for anything but Pathfinder using the ORC, and you make your own thing, it's fine. You want to have tiddlies in it. You want to have slavery. You want to have zombie-loving, baby-eating tree people. That's fine. You want to have questionable art. Yeah, whatever, fine. You'll have to deal with the individual stuff of each company. I mean, if you put it on drive-through, you'll have to deal with drive-throughs morality filter. If you put it on Big Geek or whatever. So basically, yeah. If you make a product that is a subdivision of a product higher up on the stream, the upstream, downstream, then of course, does that product have a built-in morality clause? And how much of that falls under the different categories of the ORC? But yeah. Now, if you make stuff for Pathfinder specifically, though, using the ORC, then you are bound by the morality clause that Pathfinder product has, that is built into Pathfinder. So then you have to be careful with things like tiddlies and bloods and slavery and stuff like that. But if you want to make your own thing, no morality clause. If you want to publish your own thing, well, then if you publish it under a certain site, like say Exalted Funeral, they have a completely different level of what they are accepting of as opposed to drive-through. So again, you have to deal with that, but that's not, the Orcs thing. The Orcs thing is like, dude, put whatever the fuck you want in your game. So no, it does not have a morality clause, but of course the rest of the industry still does. Does that make sense? Probably not. Anyways, that's it for this week. Let's take a break, recharge our engines, because we know we're going to have to dive into this week's in the nonstop OSR war, the post-pundit bro-SR, the hypocrisy, the threats, David Fox saying he doesn't want your money, the evolution, destruction of the ORC. So yeah, but I usually want to, take a break before I jump into that nonsense. So go outside, enjoy the sunshine if you have it. Take a breather, spend some time with your beloved pet, family member, /candy bar, and then we'll dive back in. But for now, that's me. And if you appreciate this, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, head on over to Big Geek Emporium and buy my merch. And I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Thanks for dropping by, NNICK Plays. Hopefully you have taken a moment of your time to do all the things I just said.